Welcome to the Community Collective Podcast, a flip-flop agent production in collaboration with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. I am your host, Johnny B. Good. Welcome back to another episode of the Community Collective Podcast. Man, oh man, summer is just zinging by. I have 2 weeks until my kids are back. I know Travis, same thing for you, my friend. But you know what? We're in a little bit of an echo chamber today because we have an amazing guest. And I'm excited to speak not only with my good buddy and partner in crime, Mr. Travis Howell, but Andy from the Flint and Genesee Chamber, Flint and Genesee Group. I'm sure we'll get into some of those naming discussions a little bit later in the podcast. But Travis, how are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I am doing good. This has been a great start to the week. We hopped right back into our monthly lunches. We had a great speaker and a great turnout. So I'm excited to join you and then welcome our newest guest on our podcast, um, Andrew Younger, who is the executive director of the Flint and Genesee Chamber. Andy, welcome. We're glad you could join us today.
Hey, thank you so much. Really great to be here with you guys. You mentioned, I was just going to say, you mentioned the luncheon. I talked with some of our team members who were able to join you guys, and they were really impressed with what's happening at the Davison schools and with the superintendent. Great get and lots of exciting things happening there.
It really is. And I will say, I know you know the value of it in your role, but our schools play such a big part in our community. And
So important.
and our chamber is working really hard to develop a good relationship and get into schools and play a role with them. So yeah, it's good.
Wonderful.
I'm glad you heard about it. It was nice to see your team there. I know you guys are always everywhere. So that's why I was glad to be able to get a little bit of your time today.
Glad to be here and honored to be on the podcast.
Yeah, I will start off in saying that since I have started my role with the Davison Area Chamber just almost a year ago, one of the first people I had the chance to sit down with was you. I reached out and really had a lot of questions to learn a lot about the chamber world and being new to it. And I will say you were more than welcome to take time to come to Davison and meet with me and go over so much information. And I have appreciated that, and I feel like we've developed a good friendship over this past
Absolutely.
year that I just always enjoy being able to get together with you. So this is another way for us to introduce you and our community to you as well, to the Davison area.
I
So
just
it's
love the
good.
spark that you have brought. Yeah, the feeling is mutual, absolutely. And you really have, you're bringing a wonderful energy to Davison, which then what we love about that is that it has a ripple effect throughout the entire county.
Good. And that's what we love. We love partnering with as many organizations and groups as possible. So it's been a great experience and I'm loving it. So the first thing we always love to ask our guests, and I'm always fascinated by, is what is your background? Where
Oh,
did you come from? What did you do before? And I think people just like hearing more about what made you the person you are and where you are today.
sure, sure. At the risk of making this too long, I'll start at the beginning. I'm a Flint native and proud to be in Flint Southwestern graduate and currently live in Fenton. But the way we got there was fairly circuitous. Went to U of M down in Ann Arbor, studied nothing having to do with business. I was in environmental policy, thought I was going to change the world that way. And really, as a college student at first, didn't think I'd be coming back to Flint or didn't really see myself doing that. And then actually some of my coursework brought me back to the area to Flint and Genesee County to do some studying. And I re-fell in love with our whole community. And that was really what sealed the idea in my heart that this area is where I'm going to be. And it happened in a few different ways, but I became an AmeriCorps member and served for a year here in the area. And that's like the Peace Corps only for people who want to serve locally. And so I did that for a year, worked at U of M Flint for a year, and then actually had an opportunity to work with the state administering AmeriCorps Corps grants. And we moved to Lansing and lived there for a few years. And it was there that I really realized, okay, if I really want to make a difference, and if I'm wanting to see a positive change for the people who live in all of Genesee County, all the charity in the world isn't going to make a place, isn't going to turn everything around. People have to have good jobs. They have to have opportunities and hope for not just good jobs, but also improvement. And that's what sustains a community. And then the second realization was that I didn't know anything about business. And at that point, I decided I needed to learn about business. We actually moved to Chicago and I pursued an MBA at Loyola University in Chicago. And once I completed that, I actually worked for a company that provides all kinds of services to different business trade associations. And so I learned a ton. I learned a lot. I learned a little about a lot of things, I'll say that. And I worked for I served these associations that were in the most obscure industries like fastener distribution and flooring and decorative plumbing and things and also a lot of high-tech things, SAP user group. And so it learned just this wide range of, you had to become an expert in a wide range of industries in a very short period of time, or at least learn enough to talk, figure things out. That was really a great experience and it really did lead me to my next two positions, because while we were in Chicago having a great time, learning a lot, building up my professional career, my wife and I always had Flint and Genesee County in our hearts. That was our goal, to figure out how to get back. And the opportunity came literally as I have twin girls, and in 2013 they were born, and literally 2 days after they were born, I had my first interview with the Crim Fitness Foundation to be their race director. And I came back from it saying I blew that because I was essentially on 48 hours of no sleep. But miraculously, I don't know how, but they invited me back for a second interview. And from that point, I served as the race director of the HAP Crim Festival of Races, which has been going on since 1977, and Flint is really one of the many really wonderful events that happen and bring truly positive news and positive energy to the area. And so I served in that capacity for about 8 years and really got to re-immerse myself into the community that way. I got to know a lot of community leaders, a lot of business leaders, and develop strong relationships there. And then from there, I made the transition, actually during the pandemic, made the transition over to the Flint and Genesee Chamber. That opportunity arose. And I had, again, thanks to my relationships developed through the Crim, I had gotten to know a lot of folks at the chamber, and it really was a natural transition because of all the different businesses and leaders that I had the opportunity to get to know better at the Crim. Really worked well in that role with the chamber. I started during the pandemic, though. I spent the first 6 months of my job in my basement and not really fun. And we were really trying to get out and get to connect with people. A lot of it was virtually. And so then that really got me to where I am now. But thankfully, as the pandemic we learned how to live with everything, things have emerged, and we're pretty much back to where we were from an attendance standpoint, from a membership standpoint. I feel like we've hit a couple of milestones with that, even just in the last 6 months or so.
Wow, that is so much. It is amazing to hear that. I will say I agree with you on a couple things. I have had to learn so much about business world in my new role. I had no business background myself. I was a political science major in college, and then when I moved up here, went to UM and was social science, U.S. history and politics is what my master's is in. So
Great.
my only business background is my dad was a small business owner and I was volunteer help. It's in the retail world. Hey, son, we need you to help move this inventory or load up this. And so that's my business background right there.
We have that
So,
in common. My dad was a small business owner as well.
okay. Yeah. Then on the crim side, that's really fascinating. I have run the crim twice, and
Oh,
in my head,
great.
I was like, in my head, I was like, after I finished, I was like, that was really crazy. I ran 10 miles. But
No,
I really enjoyed
congratulations.
it.
That's fantastic.
So,
Yeah.
oh, now that was gonna be my question is now as the race director, I'm sure you're busy on race day. But did
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever say, I got to go out and run this course myself to see what it's like and experience the Bradley Hills and everything like that?
Yeah, and luckily I'm not nearly the runner that I used to be, but I had run it a number of times before I actually accepted the position. And I grew up watching my dad run it. So it was a very special event to me personally. When I was in my role as race director, I just never got to the point of being able to actually run it, like actually participate in the race while also directing all the
Oh,
other things that were
directing
going
it.
on. But what we would do is I got to participate in the test run that we would always do with our training groups 2 weeks before, like on 2 Sundays before, we will do the course and essentially following the paint trucks as they paint the blue line.
Oh,
So that was like my personal crim.
yeah. Well, I'm always fascinated when I moved up here, learning about the history of the Crim and just seeing
Mhm.
the thousands of people that come from everywhere to do it. And
Yeah.
which is amazing because it's a great way to experience Flint and then what else
Yes.
Genesee County has to offer. And it brings people together. And I love that. That was something really interesting to experience and to see. And I know I love seeing people and their stories. And then you see them walking around town with their medals on. And my dad's a runner. So I know how important
Right.
it is to have the coolest medal around. And I feel like the Crim is
Yeah.
always on top of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and it's so cool on events like the Crim or Back to the Bricks or even Ally Challenge where people come, they either come from out of town or maybe they come from one of the cities in the county, but they haven't been to downtown Flint in a long time. And I can't tell you how many times I hear, I haven't been to Flint in years and it's great. I love it. It's so that's certainly the direction we were hoping to go with Flint when I was at the Crim. And frankly, I see that in my role with the Flint and Genesee Chamber because we are county-wide. We serve the entire county. Yeah, that attitude and that spirit is true for the whole county. I think so many great things are happening in Davison and Grand Blanc and Fenton and Flushing and Swartz Creek that when people come back, they're like, oh, this is better than I expected. And that's what
yeah,
we love. We like to
yeah,
surprise people for the good.
yeah. So now, how did you find out and how did you get started with the Flint Genesee Chamber? It's a big difference, I would think, going from a organization that's focused on foot races and stuff, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
you move
Yeah.
into a role that does stuff county-wide. So how did you, yeah, when did you start? How did you find about it? And like, what do you do
Yeah.
with the Flint
Good,
Genesee
good.
Chamber?
It is a really good question. A lot of people ask me that all the time. As far as like how I found out about it, it really did have to do with just having good relationships with the people at the Flint Genesee Chamber, the Flint and Genesee group during my time with the race, and a position opened up. The position that I have now opened up. And so I just went ahead and applied for it. But I do think that even though yeah, when I came into the Crim, I didn't know anything about directing a race or running a race. I think I think my it was that was more a function like what helped me excel in that was my event management and my marketing backgrounds and my prior knowledge and connections within the community. Many of those hadn't changed too much from my time in the city before we left. So there was a lot of that. It was just a great opportunity then to immerse myself in what was happening. And as the race director, a big part of my job was to develop relationships with a lot of the bigger businesses and people who would be interested in sponsoring the race and then also with a lot of the racers who are local, who are either working for companies or maybe have their own small businesses who are dedicated to the area. And so there was a lot of natural transition there. And so today what I do is I'm excited to say we're back to over 1,000 members. That dipped during COVID, and it's been a bit of a climb back to get us back to that. But we really like I see myself as a bit of a shepherd. They're doing their thing there as businesses, and we as the chamber, you know, do our best to make it as easy as possible for those business owners and leaders to do the things they have to do to run their business. People don't go into business, like what we joke about, people don't go into business so that they can do payroll or buy workers' comp insurance and things like that. That's not why they went into the business they went into. But those are things they have to. They didn't go into business so that they could do their taxes every year. But we want to make it a little easier for them to do that. That's on the sort of the business process side and function side. And we have a lot of partnerships with companies who help with those things. And then we do a lot of leadership development training on things like that. And then on the other side, of course, like the thing that people associate with chambers and Travis is the visibility and the networking and the relationship development that ultimately leads to business relationships, sales and partnerships like that. And what I've observed, and now I say probably more often than I should, is that Genesee County is not a small county. We're over 400,000 people. That's a lot of people. But we do business like a small town, and it's about the relationships. Like those, if you think about the companies that you do business with from a business standpoint and a personal standpoint, sure, some of them you're just purely doing on price or whatever. But if you know somebody, and if you're going to be asked to recommend somebody, it's for a service or a product, you think about the people and the companies that you know personally. And that, I think, is where the chamber plays such an important role, both at the county level with the Flint and Genesee Chamber, but also at the local chamber levels as well. It's those relationships, and both what you do and what we do is provide that platform and that forum for people to come together and get to know each other and establish that level of trust and learn about what they do in a way that doesn't work with a digital ad or even a commercial or even a sales pitch. It's those relationships that are so important. So we do that through a number of events. We organize, like you guys, we have regular luncheons each month. Ours are the second Wednesday of every month. You do not have to be a Flint and Genesee Chamber member to join us. You do get a little bit of a break on the registration price, but we welcome everybody to those. And those have become increasingly well attended. We're usually around 200 people for those. And we really do our best to bring in interesting speakers and have topics that are useful to a large number of our audience. But it's also a great networking opportunity as well. And then we do a lot of just straight up networking events, like our Connect Over coffees in the morning. We just had one hosted very graciously and well attended by Back to the Bricks. And that was last week. And I think there were 80 to 90 people at that one. And then we also have our evening networking events, like our after hours wind downs. And those also usually get around 75 to 100 people. Both of those events are free and, again, open to everybody, because we want, yes, we want them to be geared towards chamber members, but we also see the value for everybody when it's open and welcome to everyone. And that's the spirit that we're really trying to cultivate, is that, and really continue and perpetuate, is that this is a welcoming and warm and friendly and supportive business community. And honestly, it is. And that's one of the things that I love the most about my role, is that I get to see it in real life, just how wonderful and excited and passionate our businesses are, and how supportive they are of each other.
Yeah, and I know, Andy, I've been able to be very fortunate and attend several of your events. And be honest, I have learned so much just from seeing how it's organized and how you guys
Great.
invite people. And it is. Here's a question that I think a lot of people might ask. And you said anyone's welcome to come. How does someone know about these events? How do they find out about them? Do you guys have a way that your average person at home can look it up?
Yeah, so great question. So if you're a member, you get our regular email newsletter, and so that's how we notify members. But for non-members, residents or anyone else, you can go to our website. It's flintandgenesee.org, and from there we have an events tab, and our events calendar is there. But it's spelled out Flint, AND, Genesee.org, and that's the landing page for everything in the Flint and Genesee group, but all of the chamber events are on the events calendar. And then from there, you just register, and also we always encourage our current members to pass on invitations to contacts and colleagues that they have as well.
Well, good. So hopefully our listeners start checking out some of the events and feel
I
like they
hope
can be
so.
invited and go, right? It is, and they're fun. I feel like you have your lunches, which I know Johnny's been able to join me at one,
Yeah.
but then the coffees are also fun. And it's I feel like they're different type of environments, but they're relaxed. You feel like you can really interact with people. And I know at one of your lunches recently, it was I'm from Davison, but then someone next
Mhm.
to me was from some businesses in Frankenmuth and
Right.
some from the Flint area. And so you're not just sitting with people from your community, you're interacting with people from the whole region, which I think that it's important for not only networking, but just getting to know what's going on everywhere, which is, that is the great thing about, I think, chamber events is they
Mhm.
bring people from all areas and all aspects of life together.
Yeah, we take very much a yes and approach to that. If people ask us, "Hey, I'm a business, I'm based in Davison, should I join the Davison Chamber or you guys?" And our answer is always not. It's not a question of or. It's a question of the answer is yes, you should join Davison and you should join us because you get different types of value. You'll connect. You'll see some of the same people, but by and large, you will see different groups of people that will really help your business in different ways. And so there's importance and value in being a part of both.
Yeah, exactly. So now one of the questions, and Johnny brought it up, is
Mhm.
so the Flint Genesee Chamber is it either partnered with or in a bigger group called the Flint Genesee Group? Can you explain to us a little bit what's the difference? What goes on with all this? There's a lot of Flint and Genesee, but it's
Yeah.
broken down to different little divisions.
Yeah, and Johnny, that very astute observation. So thank you. Yeah. Yes, we are the Flint and Genesee Chamber is actually a division of the Flint and Genesee Group. And the Flint and Genesee Group, that serves as Genesee County's economic development organization. In state speak, they call those EDOs. And every county has one. Some are more formal than others. Some are in the government. Some are, ours is not a government entity, though we get government grants for certain things. The chamber does not. Everything that we do is self-funded. But so the chamber is a division of the group. And so we are one of four divisions. We have, our chamber. We also have our economic alliance, Flint and Genesee Economic Alliance, and they focus on business development in the area. And they do that a couple ways. They are focused on attracting large businesses that we call economic multipliers. So companies who are looking to move to an area who can create jobs essentially and really give people a reason to move here, to stay here, and then basically I think of it as filling the cup. If you have an empty cup and that's your economy, when companies come in and make things and then they're sold, whether it's a product or a service that's sold outside of our area, the money comes in and it fills our cup. And then what I see our job is as the chamber is to stir that cup, to make sure that those dollars and that economy stays within and circulates within our community so that those small businesses that are supporting the bigger businesses, but also all the residents who are employees or have chosen to live in this area, it creates the business opportunities, but it also then makes this a nice place to live. And so that's what that's really what the Economic Alliance does on the large scale. They also, at the very small scale, they serve as a real high level concierge to entrepreneurs who are looking to start a business, because that's another way of developing the economy, and another way of growing the number of businesses in the area is to help entrepreneurs, and again helping them with that with the things that they don't want to do but have to do as a business, like they're keeping their accounting books and they're making sure that they know how to apply for loans and access capital, and choosing places and deciding when to invest in equipment or in another employee, things like that. So that's the Economic Alliance division. Another division is you probably people have heard very commonly about convention and visitors bureaus. Most counties have one, and it's essentially promoting the travel and tourism in the area. And our convention and visitors bureau has recently been renamed Explore Flint and Genesee. And so their job is to get people to come and visit Flint and Genesee County. And it really is the whole county. And they are funded essentially through hotel taxes that so heads and beds is essentially their big thing, but they also collaborate with events that bring people in, like the Crim and Back to the Bricks and Ally Challenge and other things like that. But they spend a lot of their time outside of Flint and Genesee County in markets, encouraging travel and tourism to our area. And so they're really like the face and the brand of Flint and Genesee County outside. We don't, as residents, we don't see them as much, but they're doing a whole lot, which is pretty cool. So that's the third, the Explore Flint and Genesee. And then the fourth is our Flint and Genesee Education and Talent. And that is a partnership with a number of schools throughout the county focused on career development and career readiness for students, especially like high school age. So we have a program called Teen Quest, where we help students with a lot of the soft skills of being an employee and goal setting and just understanding that if they want to have a good job and be successful or even comfortable, they need to have a vision of what they want to do, how to do it, and also how to behave and how to interact with people in a professional setting. I think a lot of us, if we've been lucky enough to grow up in a home where people worked, we had our parents or our family members as models for that. Not everyone has that privilege, and so that's part of what they do. But they also have a program that's literally just ending today. We're celebrating this afternoon the end of this year's Summer Youth Initiative, where we're essentially creating internships for kids, high school students at nonprofits and for-profit companies to work through the summer. And it's at no cost to the company. They get this person as a resource, and they also get a lot of enrichment from the program to learn how to work and interact. But it's a great program. I know that's another thing that has grown since COVID again. So it's nice to see that. So those four divisions, Chamber, Economic Alliance, Explore Flint and Genesee, and then Education and Talent really comprise the Flint and Genesee group. And really what it does, what I love about it, is that it really gives our chamber a superpower, because people can come to us, and I'm sure they come to you, Travis, sometimes and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. I'm having trouble getting a loan. I'm having trouble accessing capital. And instead of just saying, hey, call so-and-so loan officer, we can actually point them to our Economic Alliance and help them not just find a bank, but actually help them get counseling on how do they make sure that their credit's in good shape and that they're all the things that need to happen before they should even call a bank or a lender. So that's just an example, but it really allows us to, as a chamber, be more helpful and bring more value to our members. And it's really fun to be a part of that. And also it's exciting to be a part of some of the new things that are coming. For instance, the Economic Alliance has been working hard with a company called Ashley Capital, who has acquired the vacant land in Buick City that's remaining, and helping them bring in new tenants and new companies who can basically put that land to use, that brownfield that has been a blight to the area for so many years. They're going to put it back to use. And these are projects that are years in the making, a long-term, very long game. But it's so exciting to see it happen, to be a part of it, and then once we do know what's going on or have a sense, then we can provide some of the first information to businesses in the areas who can benefit by partnering with those new companies that come in. So it's very exciting.
Wow, it is. I'm just always amazed to see how big of an organization it is,
Yeah.
with so many little entities that are working together just to promote everything that is in Genesee County.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things as we get ready to close out, I love to ask this question. And you've covered it quite a bit in it, but if you could pick one thing that you really enjoy the most about Genesee County, what is that?
Oh man, it's so hard to get down to one thing. The easy answer is the people. Like I love the people that that I get to work with, that I get to interact with. I love the people who come here. I love the people who are from here. We are creating this cool county, and there are opportunities here that weren't here a decade ago. That's the other thing that I think there's this we are in a time that is really full of opportunity for people to stay instead of leave, to make something of themselves, to build a career for themselves. There are opportunities for people like me and you, Travis, to come back and to come to this area and build a life and build a career. And I think so that gets me to the one of the things that is so near and dear to my heart, which is the cultural center in Flint. There's so many things that I think we take for granted with it, that so many wonderful resources between the FIM, the Flint Institute of Arts, Capitol Theater, Whiting, Sloan Museum, the library, like that little enclave of all these resources that we have for the entire community is it's been around. It's been around since before I've been alive. And so I think for a lot of people, it just fades into the background. But in reality, we are, for a community our size, for a city the size of Flint, for a county the size of Genesee County, it is amazing that we have what we have. It is one of the top in the country. And it is constantly, each of those on their own, each of those institutions are individually recognized and highly regarded, and we bring in awesome stuff. And I think what happens is sometimes we're our own worst enemy as residents here, and we think, oh, we need to leave Genesee County to see cool things or experience cool things. And the reality is, whether it's music, a wide range, certainly you think of FIM, which used to be Flint Institute of Music, you think of like classical music, but they've got amazing jazz, they've got like rock, and then they're bringing in new acts, and with the Capitol Theater and the Whiting, they had Jack White there last year, and they've had really cool performers come so that we can enjoy, but you can also learn stuff there. Same with the Flint Institute of Arts and the Sloan Museum with its recent redesign, just state of the art, and the vision that all of those CEOs, those directors have. They have so much passion, and it pours down into the institution, and then also is there for everyone in the community to enjoy and be enriched by. Yeah, so the cultural center really is just full of wonderful resources for fun, for personal enrichment, and for all ages. That's the other thing that I think is amazing. They have classes for kids, but they also have lots of classes for adults. So whether you want to learn how to do glass art or pottery, or learn an instrument that you always wanted to, or learn about the stars more. You've got the planetarium there. There are so many things. I could go on for so long, but it's right here in our own backyard. And I think a lot of times, because it's so ever present, we forget about it in a way. And we just need to remember what a great resource it is. And frankly, as residents, I think it's important for us to talk about it when people ask about what's good about Genesee County, and highlighting that as one of the things, obviously. But for me, I think it's a really important one.
I completely agree. It's something I know our family has grown to love, especially as my wife and I had kids as
Oh,
they got a little
great.
bit older.
Yeah.
Going to like everything, if we see something. Most recently, we went to the planetarium. They had
Mhm.
about dinosaurs in kind of Antarctic area, and my
Yeah.
son who's 8, my daughter who's 12, were very fascinated by it. And then even over the summer, my wife will, while I'm working and she teaches, and so she has time off and is able to spend time with the kids, she'll take them to the Sloan or anywhere like that. And it really is. It is, I think, a jewel that so many people have experienced, but there's so many more that have not had a chance to go downtown to try it out. So yeah, I love that you shared about that, because it is. There's something
Oh, good.
I believe for all ages, whether it's a 8-year-old little boy or an adult that's lived here their whole life, to go and experience something.
I would just add one other thing, is that as Genesee County residents, we actually get a significant discount on a lot of those things. A lot of things are free, and that's pretty great.
That is, you cannot go wrong with free one bit, especially if you have a family and you're looking for
Yeah,
something good to do.
always
Good.
some.
Yeah. Andy Younger, the executive director of the Flint and Genesee Chamber, shared so much information with us today about everything that his organization and team are doing in our county. Andy, I can't thank you enough for coming on the Community Collective podcast. And I am really looking forward to continuing for the Davison Area Chamber and the Flint Genesee Chamber to keep interacting with other groups in our county.
Travis, thank you. And likewise, I just really look forward to working with you and with businesses in Davison and really working to see Davison grow and succeed and all of Genesee County to grow and succeed.
Good. Andy, thank you so much for joining us, and you enjoy your day.
You too. Thanks, Travis.